Gilbert Goh.
"红马桥选民，你好，今晚很荣幸可以跟你们交谈。Omokyo residents, good evening. How are you? Selamat petang. Terima kasih. Saya cakap Melayu tak pandai. Faham? Boleh tahan lah. Boleh cakap sedikit lah. Tapi tak boleh cakap banyak. Betul kan, Yaakob? Barakam, my Tamil friends. I'll speak a bit in Mandarin, and later on, I'll speak in English. 我在红毛桥前几天走过，就看到很多老人，70多岁了，拿纸皮。我看你在我的 Facebook 也看到有一个75岁的老人在拿纸皮，我给了他10块，他就很开心。我就问先生呢，为什么这样老还要拉纸皮呢？他就说没办法，生活费吧。这个在 Facebook posting， 我看有10万人看到，我觉得很不开心。我们是一个很富有的国家，为什么我们的老人得不到应有的福利？昨晚我跟 Jessie 也经过红毛桥，就看到一个70多岁的妇女在捡纸皮，我也很心痛，因为她好像跟我的妈妈一样年龄，一样身材，很小。我给了她7块，她就看着我，眼睛有一点泪，流了一点泪，就很感谢我。我只给了她7块，不是70块，还700块。就觉得为什么我们的国家这样有钱，这样富有，不可以给他们一点福利呢？新加坡有2个口头禅，第一，你可以死，但是不可以有病，因为医药费很贵，对吗？很多老人我知道没有这个能力去看医生，有那个 appointment， 他们也不要去看医生，为什么？因为他们没有钱，因为他们没有钱。第二个口头禅就是说，你没有工作啊，去找就是吧。很多我们的大学生30多岁、40多岁去加州市。我的爸爸这个加州市的30多年了，但是他已经去世了。所以我就问，为什么大学生40多岁又去加州市呢？ 是不是我们的社会有问题呢？太多问题。觉得我们的社会福利真的有问题吧？我们是有钱的，我们不是很穷的国家，我们不是印尼还是马来西亚没钱的国家，但是为什么大学生30多岁、40多岁、50多岁要去缴这税呢？为什么不可以给他们一份工作呢？为什么外劳有工作，我们新加坡人没有工作？哦，对，谢谢你，安迪。我的华文有限度啊，我尽量啊，好不好？你们听得懂吗？听得懂吗？后面那边，我的华文还可以吗？可以就鼓鼓掌吧，给我点支持吧，好不好？支持我吧，给我点支持，鼓鼓掌，谢谢。很多人问我，我的女儿问我，说 Daddy， 为什么你要去红毛桥对那个龙啊？很多人讲你很有种啊，我们有种吗？我们有6位这里很有种的，你知道吗？6位男生，我跟你讲，我在这里台上可以跟你表达我的意见，但是我们也是有一点害怕，因为这里是总理 Prime Minister 的 ward。Don't worry， 我知道你们很支持我，哦，呀，我很鼓励，很感动，很多人支持我，每天就很多人 email 我 Facebook 我讲 Gilbert 不要害怕，我会支持你。所以我觉得我有这个重任来跟你们分享。第一，我很不开心。新加坡人，你们开心吗？现在开心吗？开心吗？不开心。第一，很难找到工作。找到工作 ，Jesse 这样讲，是 contract， 1-2年后你就没工作。你到40岁不必去找工作，去搭的士吧，口头禅啊，新加坡唯一的口头禅，没工作交的是，我觉得很羞耻啊，因为我们是很富有、很有能力的国家，为什么会落到这样的不好的现象？因为我们在这个大选有很多问题，我觉得这个大选是很重要。你投票不只投你自己一票，你为你的儿子跟你的孙子也会投一票，因为我们有这个6.9万的白皮书 （White Population Paper），这个白皮书是很伤害我们的，因为现在有40万的外劳，马来西亚人、印尼人、菲律宾人、印度人来这里抢我们的工作。政府跟我们鼓励讲要有外劳，新加坡才有工作。你觉得对吗？要有外劳才可以得到新加坡人的工作，你觉得这对吗？不对的。为什么要靠外劳我们才有工作？现在情形是不很好。我是管一个起床帮忙这些无工作的人， 每个月我收到30个 email， 他们讲 Gilbert， 我没有工作，你可以帮我吗？我是一个辅导者、辅导员，我可以帮你，我可以跟你一起分享你的忧虑，但是我不可以给他们那个工作，我也没这个能力。I'll now use the rest of my speech in English. I hope my Chinese is good. 我的华文可以吗？鼓励一下可以吗？鼓励一下，谢谢，谢谢。我以为我讲1分钟的华文，我看有5分钟。Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, dear Omokyo residents and Singaporeans, I know a lot of you do not stay here, but you came to support me. I thank you. Give yourself a clap, Singaporeans. Omokyo GRC. A lot of people ask me, Gilbert, why go there? It's the Prime Minister what? They say, I don't know whether I can use that word or not. They say you have courage and conviction. I think I'm encouraged by the team. Can you give them a hand, my team? Right, Osman, Roy, Siva, Jesse, and M. Ravi. Give them a big hand. My 5 courageous Amokyo GRC contestants. Yeah, Roy, he's coming next. How many of you here just come to hear Roy? Give him a hand, Roy. This is a very special team. Do you know, guys? Do you think we are special? We are special? Yeah, I know. How many of you went to our first white paper protest? Yes, I saw you, Dennis. Put up your hand if you went to our first white paper protest. Wow, at least 5,000 of you. Put up your hands. Wonderful. Right, you too, sir. Wonderful. That was the first major protest in Singapore. Because Singaporeans are not happy with this white paper. It was passed down like motion within a week. Like Nizam Ismail said, motion passed down. I've done a few earlier protests at Hom Park, but it only gathered about 300 to 400 protesters the most. But the 16th February, 2 years ago, the white paper protest gathered about 5,000 of you. Give yourself a hand, Singaporeans. The rise of activism came about 3 years ago. I want to talk a bit about that. But 3 weeks ago, I was caught by the police and given a warning because please, they are here, you know. But let's give them a hand for the good job they've done so far. I was warned because it was related to the Filipino Independence Day protest that we wanted to do. But it was just a warning. But I refused to sign the papers. I guess it's something that's tricky. But we have 1.8 million foreigners residing and working with us. 400,000 of them hold professional jobs. $200,000 of them holds EP pass, drawing a salary of $3,003 minimum. Another 200,000 hold S passes, drawing a minimum of $2,003 a month. I keep asking myself this question: why do foreigners have a minimum wage, but Singaporeans don't? Singaporeans, right? My heart is troubled when foreigners have a minimum wage of 2,003 for S passes and 3,003 for EP passes. And for those now, if you earn above 5,000, you can bring in your wife, your children, and maybe your parents or your parents-in-law. Many of them are given citizenship. You should know why. 6,000 of them are given citizenship so they can vote for PAP. We also realize that thousands of fake degrees are in circulation because our government do not care about us. Our government PAP do not care about us. They do not want to check on the authenticity of these fake degrees. If I'm not wrong, 5,000 of these fake degrees, fake talents are working among us. Is this fair to us, Singaporeans? There's a few things we can gather from here. Firstly, they don't bother about you, Singaporeans. They just bring them in without checking about the experience and about their degrees. I think this is very sad. It's more sad, no, than angry. I'm angry, but I'm more sad than angry. Right, Singaporeans? Like I say, this election is very important. You do not vote for just yourself. You vote also for your children. You also vote for your children. Because if you don't, by the year 2030, half of the population will consist of foreigners and new citizens who can vote the PAP in because they are loyal to the ruling party, who give them citizenship, who give some of them free education, who give them housing, right, who give them first world status if they come from a third world country. Is this fair to us, Singaporeans? It's not fair to us. Many Singaporeans told me that we are second-class citizens in our own country. Do you agree with that? Do you feel second-class Singaporeans? Do you feel that you're cheated Singaporeans? Do you feel that someone betrayed us Singaporeans? Do you feel that the Prime Minister is a traitor Singaporeans? He is a traitor Singaporeans. He sold us out. In the FTA, Free Trade Agreement, there's a condition that allows foreign talents to come to our shore unobstructed. They can just come in by the tens of thousands over a certain period because of the free trade agreement. Right now, I've told you, there are 400,000 foreigners working among us. Some of them will interview you and say, I am here to work, and I can tell you, you do not have a job. Some of them will be S passes or EP passes. And they can be a human resource consultant going through your resume, interviewing you, and say to you, Singaporean, you do not have a job. Is this fair to us, Singapore? I've heard from many jobless professionals telling me, Gilbert, I was interviewed by a certain nationality, and I cleared that hurdle. After that, when I saw the senior person, who is also a foreigner, and he told me, I'm not selected. I wasn't selected. You see, this is my country. Is it fair that I, a Singaporean, are unable to get a job because a foreigner told me so? Is it fair, Singaporeans? We need better labor protection, my friends. We want the government to protect us in the employment sector, because without a job, we have no welfare. We have nothing. Jesse has spoken about social problem related to unemployment. If you don't have a job, chances are you have financial problem because we don't have welfare. And after that, it is probable you have family problem. We have seen many professionals who are jobless. After a while, they wrote to me, Gilbert, I'm jobless and also divorced. Because if you don't have a job, you have financial problem. And with that, there are stresses on the family. Do you know that it is a big social problem right now? Yes, it is. Because people like Jesse, myself, we went through unemployment and we lost our family. I lost my family, I can tell you, 7 years ago, because I was in prolonged unemployment in 2001. And 10 years later, the problems that were surfacing then couldn't be resolved, and we are divorced. It's not something that I'm proud of, Singaporeans. But let me assure you, you will one day be that victim because of the white population paper. 6.9 million. Do you think we can have that in our Singapore? Do you think we can have 6.9 million population? Trains break down. We have done a protest last year. We asked Liu Tak Yu to step down last year, and I'm happy he has stepped down. Yes, let's give Liu Tak Yu a hand for stepping down. Because transport issue is linked to the population white paper. We're bringing too many foreigners. It clog up the transport system. It makes traveling to work and back a chore. I'm sure you take the train, you know what I mean. Do you want that by 2030? 6.9 million. Singaporeans, do you want that? We don't want that. Yes. this election, vote wisely. Because I've repeated, you don't vote for yourself only, you vote for your children. You vote for your children's children. In 10 to 20 years' time, your children, when facing the problems related to overpopulation, will ask you, Daddy, Mommy, have you voted for PAP or not? Because right now, I buay tahan liao. I don't have a job. I face problem in the transport system. And everyone surrounding us is a foreigner. We went campaigning in Ang Mo Kio. It's difficult because the first thing I have to ask them is, "You supposed to Singaporean? Are you a Singaporean?" Because half of the people that we spoke to are foreigners. They can't vote. They are PRs or S passes or EP pass. Some may be new citizens. When I say this, it's difficult for me because now I'm standing here under the Reform Party. But I want to address you new citizens. You're having a good life right now. But in 10 years' time, there'll be a new batch of new citizens coming in. And your life will be as miserable as Singaporeans. Because the PAP will not give you face. The PAP will not relent in bringing in more foreigners to replace you. You are having a good life right now. You can vote for the PAP, but in 10 to 20 years' time, you will face the same problems as us, as what we are facing right now. We do want change, Singapore. It's due. Some of my colleagues will talk about change later, but I want to give a minute to it. We've been under the PAP rule for the last 50 years. They've run out of ideas. They're bringing a lot of generals. Now there's an assistant commissioner to rule us. It has become a militant government. There are at least 10 generals in the cabinet, in the parliament. Is that what we want, Singapore? They lack that experience. They lack the know-how to run the country. Chan Chun Sing has asked Singaporeans to work abroad to get better experience before you come back to Singapore to compete with foreigners. Is that fair, Singaporeans? These are the stuff that anger a lot of us. This is my country. Why should I go abroad to get better experience so that I can come back to my own country to get a job? I think this is madness. And I think it has angered a lot of Singaporeans. Tan Chuan Jin said that cardboard collectors do it for what? Exercise. Damn shook, huh? Why? Every day, these old elderly cardboard collectors exercise. I've spoken to a lot of them actually. We have actually worked with a few, right, quite closely. And we feel that a lot of them need the money. At 80, 75, they still do cardboard collection. Right, do you know that 2 cardboard collectors were killed last year along a busy highway when they pushed their trolleys? One of them is 85. My mom is 85. I feel for them because they remind me of my mother, right? Yeah. So when I see them doing this, my heart is painful. Yeah, I shed tears for those 2 that are killed while collecting cardboards along a busy highway. What can we do for them, Singaporeans? Yes. For those of you who are jobless, I know it's a very pertinent question. What can you do to help yourself? The government has asked you to upgrade. The government has asked you to go abroad, get experience, then come back to look for a job here. Chan Chun-sing said, MNCs do not give preference to local professionals, and they view the locals and the foreigners as equal. So basically he's saying, he's a labor chief, that you do not have basic labor protection. You have to compete with a fake degree talent for jobs. Is that fair, Singaporeans? It's not fair. This is my country. Why do I have to compete with a fake degree cert for jobs? Jesse has also mentioned that contract is a big problem. We have 1 year, 2 year contract, and after that you're out of job. The last 6 months I've seen a lot of degree holders in the 30s. Now they're in the 30s who do not have a job. And often when they work, it's a 1 or 2 year contract. They don't feel secure. They don't want to marry. They don't want to date. I think it's something that we feel ashamed about. The government has said that we do not give birth enough. And so they bring in more foreigners to make up for the lack of birth here. But who created the problem, Singaporeans? Lee Kuan Yew. Lee Kuan Yew says, stop at 2. My mom stops at 2. I only have a younger brother. So Lee Kuan Yew actually created that problem for us right now. Now Lee Hsien Loong, his son, has a bigger problem. He brings in more foreigners. With the Little India riots, with the SBS bus strike, these are symptoms of a bigger problem that foreigners can bring us. They form enclaves. They don't integrate well with us. They keep to themselves. I think it's a big problem. For Singaporeans, you need to vote wisely. You need to vote for change. You need to remember your vote is not only for yourself, but your children and your children's children. Think carefully, that's right. Vote for change, my friends. Thank you, Singaporeans.